precedents and standards that people can look at as a reference point and know that you can't get away with this kind of behavior, this kind of impunity. And especially in the context of the illegal mining that everybody has been complaining about. It's a good place to start to set an example that as Ghanaians, we are not willing to accept and tolerate this kind of activity.
We're saying on issues of the environment, because environmental organizations have petitioned the Speaker of Parliament to summon Chief Executive of the Forestry Commission, John Alote, to explain his reasons in a letter dated August 8, 2022, to a request by Messrs Akonta Company Limited to enter the Tano Nimre Forest Reserve for prospecting purposes. The environmental organizations include Eco-Conscious Citizens, Arocha Ghana, the Ghana Environmental Advocacy Group, Food Sovereignty Ghana, Green Butterfly Ghana, Environment and Ghana Youth Environment Movement. And they are the organizations or groups that have come together to petition the Speaker. In the said letter, the Forestry Commission CEO stated that the Forestry Commission in principle has no objection to mining, thereby opening the doors for Messrs Akonta Mining Company Limited to enter the forest reserve, subject to the Minister's directive on mining in forest areas. And that's a concern many have shared on social media, and to also find out really what they expect at the end of this petition. Joining us for that conversation is Awula Sewa, who is the founder and coordinator of Eco-Conscious Citizens. Madam, a very good afternoon to you, and thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for inviting me.
Right. What are the environmental groups hoping to achieve with this petition?
Well, the environmental groups want to make it absolutely clear that when you occupy a position, there are responsibilities attached to it. You have a mandate to fulfill. With particular reference to the Forestry Commission, we can all see the devastation of our forest reserves. It is posing an existential threat. So we find it rather astonishing that when the request was made to Forestry Commission, their response was that in principle, they have no objection to mining, which appears to be giving the Minerals Commission the green light to issue the entry permit. And this flies in the face of what the minister said in 2021, that there should be a stop to the issue of permits, entry permits into forest reserves. And let me make it absolutely clear that what is the threat facing Ghana is just too huge to be subject to party politics. Our party is Ghana, and we would bring to account anybody we believe is destroying our environment. It doesn't matter where the person finds themselves. But in this particular instance, we believe the Chief Executive of Forestry Commission has a case to answer.
But would you agree with those who look at the other side of the argument that, you know, as the head of the Forestry Commission, the information here, or based on the remit of his responsibilities, agreeing for someone with the legal permit to enter the forest was not out of place? What are your thoughts on that argument?
I completely disagree. The mandate of the Forestry Commission is to protect our forests. If you look at their vision, it talks about protecting the forest for unborn generations, the forest and wildlife. You look at their mission statement, it talks about sustainability. Now, how are you going to achieve this if rather than focusing on your remit, which is to protect the forest, you go around saying that you have no objection to mining in principle when we are referring to a forest reserve? So the Forestry Commission, is not surprising that we are in this state if the Forestry Commission is not clear about what its vision is. Its responsibility is to protect our forests, to ensure that mining is not done on more than 2% of production forest reserves. Its mandate is to ensure that we do not mine willy-nilly. And therefore, that should be their focus, not whether or not they object to mining. But it needs to be said responsibly that we have a remit to protect the forest, and there has been a directive from the minister that there should be no entry into forest reserves. For that reason, we're unable to respond positively to your request.
Okay, and maybe my final question on the same subject. You are asking that he comes to answer. How about the individual or the company that actually entered and did the mining? Are you also looking at taking them on or asking for they to also come and answer?
Actually, we have consulted solicitors, and that would also be something we are looking at. We note that others have done a very good job. They've asked the police to investigate because it's the duty of the police to investigate. There's so much evidence that I'm a little concerned about what the delay is. We know that some structures were burnt, which some would say is destroying evidence. But why would you do that unless you thought a crime had been committed? And if a crime has been committed, for heaven's sake, you investigate and then you prosecute. Because failure to do that gives the impression that we're not particularly serious about clamping down on illegal mining when highly placed persons connected to the ruling party are involved. And let me make it absolutely clear that this should not be party political. Everybody involved should be dealt with. So yes, Akonta Limited should be investigated, prosecuted, and it will be up to the courts to decide whether they are guilty or not guilty. But the duty of the police is to investigate, and they should be, in my view, prosecuted. I think there's ample evidence that they entered a forest reserve and that environmental vandalism was committed. And let me say that there's an existential threat right now. So we really need to do away with party politics, focus on Ghana, and ensure that we do not poison ourselves, our crops, and our water bodies, because that would be the end for all of us.
Right. It's a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much. We'll be following up on this particular petition as well. Awolasewa is the co-founder